Hey folks, Nathan here with the ebookreader.com. For this video, I'm going to give you guys a comparison review between the Kindle Oasis here on the left and the Kindle Paperwhite 3 on the right. So for the most part, this is just going to be a hardware comparison because they both actually have the exact same software. There's no differences as far as like software features go. They turn the pages the exact same speed. There's no advantages one way or the other as far as that goes. So let's just talk about the differences. These two have very different design. So the Kindle Oasis has this separate charging cover that it comes with, so it's mandatory because most of the battery is actually in the cover. So as you can see with the Oasis design, has a very thin design there on the left, and then it tapers to the thicker part where you hold it, where you've got the page buttons here, and then you can just swap pages like this and it will flip the screen over for whichever orientation you're reading. And then obviously the Kindle Paperwhite, it doesn't have any of those kind of buttons. It's all touchscreen interface. So there's a big difference in the size of the two. As you can tell, the Oasis, it gets thicker where the buttons are, but then it's super thin where the screen is on the rest there. 3/4 of the device is super thin, whereas the Oasis or the Paperwhite has the thicker contour, though it sort of thins down a little bit at the edges, but obviously it's quite a bit thicker, and it's also heavier, of course, because it has the bigger battery. So it'll last for about 6 weeks on a charge according to Amazon, and then this will last up to 8 weeks with the case. So you have to have the case, because without the case it's not going to last very long. It'll probably last a few days because it doesn't have a very big built-in battery. So yeah, the case is part of the equation with the Oasis, and that is part of what adds the extra cost to it as well. I had a separate video showing the case in detail if you wanted to see that, so I'm not going to get into a lot of details with that. Let's just talk about some of the other differences between these two devices. So they both have 6-inch ink screen. Obviously the Oasis is quite a bit smaller because of just the way it's designed. It is a little bit wider, just a hair wider, but obviously it's a lot shorter and thinner than the Paperwhite. But they do have the same 300 ppi ink Carta screen, which is really nice and clear. The Paperwhite, it has this layer for the front light. So if you look really close, it's not going to show up on the camera. I know it's not because you can barely even see it in person, but if you look really close when you have the two side by side, you can tell that the text is just a little bit clearer and darker on the Oasis than it is on the Paperwhite, because the Oasis has a glass screen, so it's all flush. It's one layer there like the Voyage was, and then that just sort of helps with the text be a little bit clearer than it is when you have like a light layer added over the screen, which is probably made out of plastic, and it also has the capacitive layer too. So the added layers do take down the text clarity just a little tiny bit. So obviously one of the big differences with the Oasis is the page buttons. You can actually set these in the settings menu if you wanted this one to be forward and that one to be back. By default, the top one's forward. I do like how the buttons are situated, because you just sit the device in your hand and it does the weight distribution makes it feel really light with all the weight in your hand there, and then your thumb just rests nicely on the page button, so that does work well. You don't have to swipe the screen like you do with the Paperwhite, though you can if you want. Because of the thinner design, it's not very comfortable to hold from the left side, so obviously it's meant to be spun around so that you can use the page buttons with the other hand. However, when you have it in the cover, it actually is pretty comfortable to hold from the left side because the cover adds thickness to it. So holding it from the left side is not a big deal when you do have it in the cover. Okay, so let's talk about the front lights as well. That's another difference. There's not a whole lot of difference. They both have really nice, even front lights. The Oasis here, it has 10 LED front lights along this edge right here, which is different because pretty much all e-readers up until now had it in the top or bottom. So the Paperwhite has 4 LEDs along the bottom. So obviously with the additional LEDs, it is brighter on the Oasis than it is on the Voyage. There's not a huge difference, and the camera's going to automatically adjust, so it's probably not going to show it all, but there's not really a whole lot of difference as far as the front light. Like I said, it's just a little bit brighter, maybe a little more even on the Oasis, but overall they both look quite good. One difference with the Oasis is that it will go all the way off when you turn it all the way down, so that's like the first Kindle to do that. All the other Kindles stay on just a little bit, including the Paperwhite, but the Oasis, actually the light does go completely off when you have it at the lower level. So usually the mid-level right here is something that you're going to be using most of the time. But alright guys, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this video right here. Like I said, there's not a whole lot of differences between these two devices other than the new design on the Oasis and the added page buttons, and then that accelerometer that switches the screen around when you flip it over. But Really not a whole lot of differences. Like I said, the software is like exactly the same. You're not going to have any added features on the Oasis that you don't have on the Paperwhite. So I mean, all the reading experience is the same. It all comes down to the hardware, how you want to hold the device. Obviously, the Oasis is quite a bit smaller than the Paperwhite, and with that charging cover on there, it's just got a new concept with the battery built into it. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up this video. Check out the ebookreader.com and the YouTube channel. I'll have some additional videos posted of these devices. Of course, I'll have the full review posted as well.